Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug Show. This is Doug Cunnington here, and in this episode, I'm going to answer a couple of listener questions. So, first one is from Michael, and this is a question I get fairly often. How can I compete with much bigger sites out there? And the second question is, can I put affiliate links in an informational post, and how does that impact things? And that question is from Phil. So thanks to those guys for sending in the question. And if you would like to, have your question featured and get a little first name shout out like these gentlemen, you can just shoot me an email at feedback@doug.show. Or if you are bold and you have a beautiful speaking voice, or actually it doesn't matter what your speaking voice is like, but if you want to leave a voicemail, that is cool too. I think it can add a little bit, extra flavor to your question if you could, just leave the voicemail. So the number is in the show notes and description, so you can check that out. Or if you just want to send it in, that is cool too. So pretty much if you have a reasonable question and I haven't answered it already, like in the last couple episodes, I will probably put it on. So feel free to shoot me an email. I may not reply back directly, because I get a lot of emails otherwise, but I do see them. I actually look at those feedback emails very closely, because the fact is I don't get a ton of them. So if you have a question, shoot me an email. All right. Before we get into the answers here, I was just going to mention I'm fasting again. So I've been doing like intermittent fasting maybe like 2 to 4 times per week, depending on what I have going on. And at first I was just, I would eat dinner the day before, and then I would like push out my breakfast until like 10 a.m. And then slowly I would like skip breakfast altogether and just have like lunch. And then as I got a little more comfortable with being hungry and figuring out how to deal with it and realizing that I'm not going to die. I love to eat, and I will overeat, and I love sweets, and I will eat anything. If there's like a box of donuts, I will finish the box of donuts, right? So it's interesting. I also have like the obsessiveness in the opposite direction, so that I can be disciplined and literally not eat. But as I got more comfortable with being hungry and understanding that it's okay, I was able to push it out to like 2 to 3 in the afternoon. And then every now and then I will do like a 22-hour fast. So maybe I eat dinner the day before. We eat fairly early. So maybe about 6 or 6:30. And then maybe I wouldn't have like my first calories, like significant calories, until much later in the afternoon, like 4 o'clock or so. And it's been very interesting because there are a few things that I discovered. One, I realized that through a lot of my 20s and I guess most of my 30s, I would like have a fairly big lunch, especially when I had a corporate job, and we'd go out for lunch and I'd have a big, big sandwich or something like that, or maybe I have pasta, or maybe we go to like an Indian buffet, which I love, and then I would just fill up on rice and naan and just really stuff myself, and then I'd be like in a coma for like the afternoon. So I realized a lot of it was food based, and I just wasn't eating the right things, and I was overeating at the wrong times. But my brain is very sharp on this intermittent fasting. And I could tell very easily if I am like breaking my fast with food that isn't working out very well for me. Again, while I love bread and pasta and all that stuff, it does sort of bog me down, I guess, with the insulin response and all the kind of business going on. I'm no scientist, but that's kind of my understanding there. So, yeah, the intermittent fasting has been great. And I encourage you, if you haven't tried it, to give it a shot. Try to skip breakfast. Now I have coffee. I'm probably compensating the like lack of food with coffee instead. And, when I first started this fasting, I would actually put like half and half into my coffee. And occasionally I would, put in some coconut oil, some MCT oil as well. And a little bit of cheating, right? Because that's significant calories right there. But as I got better, right, for the first couple of weeks, I maybe would put some butter and MCT oil in my coffee. And then I tapered off to where I was just having black coffee and a crazy amount of water each day with a little bit of salt in there, by the way, little sea salt in there. And I just feel great. I feel really good. And you could tell, full disclosure, I had some coffee earlier. So I'm highly caffeinated. All right, let's get to the questions. And, folks, give the intermittent fasting a little bit of a try. And like anything, you got to gradually get into it. All right, questions. So number one, how can you compete with a big site out there? And let me give you a little background on this question. So I coach a few people every now and then, and this person wanted to launch a site, and they, had some questions about, just generally approaching content and link building and just the mindset, just general stuff. So I gave him whatever information he needed, and then from there, I pulled a couple reports for him for competitors, just so he had an idea for keywords that he potentially could target that maybe his competitors weren't really going for. So I selected a few, he selected a few. I got him all this data, and when he got the data back, he was like, "Holy shit, there's a lot of keywords out there, and these sites are huge." Hundreds of pages, pretty good quality. They seem to be getting a crazy amount of traffic, over 100,000 visitors per month, and they have been around for a couple of years. Like, how can I possibly compete with them? They just have so much. Like, I'm writing all the content myself, and I don't know if this is even worth it. So the answer is you just start small. So it's almost a dumb, like cliche kind of answer, but there's so many different, I guess, cliches to go along with it, where, a journey of 100 miles starts with one step. Or if you're going to eat an elephant, talking about food, like if you're going to eat an elephant, you have to do it one bite at a time. And when you're starting a website, every site starts with nothing. They start with zero. There's no content. It started with an idea, and people slowly grew it over time. And the interesting thing, I've only been doing involved in internet marketing for I guess about 6 years, which now seems like a really long time. But when I was starting, there were sites out there that looked to be huge, and they slowly dwindled because people moved on to other things. And there's a life cycle to a website. Sometimes a huge site will kind of go away because someone lost interest, or maybe there's some more external factors to it. Or it can keep growing, maybe at a slower rate, but at some point that site started at zero. And what I recommend is just knock it out one by one at the speed that you can do it. So in a recent episode, I talked about just making sure that you're not comparing yourself too much to other people out there, especially, I'm guilty of this, right? They make for good headlines. So I interview exception story, I interview people that are exceptions for success stories because those are interesting and inspiring. All right. So that part of the reason is that. But I also talk to people who are maybe just getting started, or maybe they've hit their first $50 a month or first $100 a month. And then, there's the extreme examples where someone's making, $25,000 a month or whatever. But it's important to know that everyone started at zero. Everyone started with like a small amount of skills, not much content, and you can get there too. All you have to do is get started and knock it out like a little bit at a time. One thing that I want to caution people on, and I think I didn't experience this personally because I'll come back to it in a second. But the point I'm trying to make is don't research too much. Some people want to do as much research as they possibly can, and they get stuck in this research loop and they don't take action, and they end up with a huge amount of knowledge that actually paralyzes them, right? It paralyzes them from taking any action, and they just simply know too much. And it's very interesting to get in a conversation with someone like that, because often these are people that I coach. So they're super knowledgeable, but they haven't launched their site yet. Maybe they've been researching it for 2 or 3 years. They've been trying to figure out like the perfect product, the perfect niche. They have many ideas, and they just keep consuming more information from many different sources, some of which may be contradictory. So for example, like if I coach someone like this, what might happen is I will make a suggestion. Usually my suggestions are fairly conservative and generally are going to work, because you don't have to get everything 100% right and hit a home run. You just kind of got to get most of it good enough, and then you'll be fine. So I may make a suggestion to get someone in that good enough range and taking action, but they may have, 4 counterpoints and 4 answers on why maybe that's not the best approach. Turns out it doesn't fucking matter if it's the best approach. It just needs to be like an approach that you execute. And I was talking to a guy named Kyle Roof, who's a brilliant SEO. And there's an episode with him coming up soon, so keep an eye out for that. But he was talking about like a web page that is not created can't get any traffic. It can't rank for anything. Like basically, if you don't take action, like you lost, right? So all you have to do is take a little bit of action, get a little bit of momentum, and have the mindset of continuous improvement. You will not get it right the first time. You just got to make sure you don't make a catastrophic mistake. And even honestly, when you're talking about a website, like if you launch a site and you make a couple mistakes, that's okay. It really didn't cost you that much compared to, say, opening a brick and mortar store or like a restaurant or something like that. Like that costs a lot of money, takes a ton of time. You can like launch a website in an afternoon. And like I said, as long as you have the mindset of constant improvement, you're going to be okay. So bottom line here is you just got to get started. You got to start moving forward. And as you get a little bit of momentum, as you get a little bit of traffic on your site, when you make that first sale, you will realize, hey, this works. And by the way, those inspirational stories, those exception cases that I mentioned before, those are the pieces of like evidence and proof that you need to move forward, right? Like regular folks are doing it, right? You're listening to me ramble on, and you realize I'm just a normal dude with a dog who likes beer, and I like to walk outside as much as I can, right? Like I'm just a normal guy who made okay grades and got an okay job, and I was trapped in my little cubicle, and I eventually got laid off. Like pretty simple story, right? Like just normal dude. And I accidentally found my way into this little thing. And a quick other note, like kind of an aside, but I believe relevant. Go check out my YouTube channel. All the videos I ever published are still up there. Even the ones where I dabbled early on in like 2014. And I was thinking, I really want to do more videos. I think this could be a great thing. And holy shit, I wish I would have stuck with it and just really committed. And what happened was, while I was super nervous in front of the camera and like very, very slowly started doing a little bit more. And an interesting thing happened at the end of, say, 2016. So almost like 2.5 years later, I started doing more videos and publishing more. And then at some point I was like, you know what? I'm going to push through this uncomfortable portion, right? So I started at 0 in the 2014 period and like basically published a couple videos. And then in 2016, I was like, I'm going to commit to actually publishing a lot of videos. I'm going to do live streams. I'm going to do webinars. I'm going to try to publish more and see how it goes. And slowly over time, I got better. extremely slowly. I mean, there are so many videos out there on my channel that are a complete train wreck, but I slowly got better. And the very amazing thing is that at this point in time when I'm recording it, I have about 14,000 subscribers, which is, it's a vanity metric in many ways. However, what that does for me is it gives me like a little bit of a platform. And I know that if I publish a video, even a random like vlog where I'm just traveling around, going on vacation or something like that, a few hundred people are going to watch it, which is amazing that a few hundred people would want to watch me, ramble on vacation. Now, the real benefit, that's interesting, right? It's vanity, all right? So it's cool that people want to pay attention to me. But the very cool thing is there's enough people that pay attention that I can email influencers in various, respects. And you can look at the interviews that I've done on this podcast, and you can see, like, all of a sudden with a platform, you can approach other people and they will talk to you because I have just enough subscribers where someone's like, oh, you know what? Like, we should probably talk to this guy, which is super interesting because I'm just some average dude who started with a channel of 0 subscribers and very slowly, like no huge hockey stick growth on this. I just grinded it out. I literally grinded it out. So the analogy is you could do the same thing for a website. You can do it on a podcast. If you are big into, Instagram, you can do it there too. Everyone starts at 0, and it's just a matter of grinding it out and doing the work, doing some networking, and trying to improve, right? You can't blindly just, publish a bunch of content and not try to improve as you're going through the process. So I think I hammered that one down. So next question, a little bit, faster hit here. So this one's from Phil. And by the way, thanks, Michael, for sending in your question. So Phil's question is about putting affiliate links and informational content. And Phil noted that his informational content for his affiliate site seems to rank a little bit faster. He observes that there's a little bit less competition because, people are greedy and they usually go after the buyer's keywords. They usually go after terms that are product focused. So he's finding that he could publish more informational content, get ranked faster, get traffic and all the good stuff a little bit quicker. So Phil wants to know, can I put affiliate links in there? The answer is sure. Yeah, you can put them in there. I put them in myself. For a lot of my affiliate content also. Now, I think it's key to note a few things. So number one, the general problem that a person has when they end up on an informational post. Most of the time, those are going to be how-to posts. Occasionally, it will just be an informational essay, more or less. So at that point, it may not be as effective if it's just an informational essay, but the how-to articles are perfect. All right. So let me break it down. Now, if you have a piece of content and it tells someone how to do something, they have a problem that they're trying to solve. They don't know how to do a thing, right? So if you know what they're trying to do, then you can probably give them some recommendations for products where they can either do it for cheaper or easier or faster. Those are the 3 main things. So quick example for Niche Site Project. Basically, if I tell someone how to do keyword research and keyword competition analysis, then I can tell them how to do it in a general sense, how to do it with free tools. I can also save them time and maybe make them a little bit more effective if I recommend a tool like, say, KW Finder, which I'm an affiliate for, and I get a commission if you buy through my link. And right, did you see what I just did there? But I could tell you that if you use a tool to save time and you could afford it, right? I'm not putting pressure on someone like you have to get this tool or the world's going to end. I can give them an alternative way to do something. But if I could save them 5 hours of time and it costs them, $35 a month, and they only need to buy the tool for, whatever, 2 months or something, like that's a lot of time, right? If I could save someone like 5 hours per week over the course of 2 months, that's a lot of time. That's a bargain, right? If someone can save time by paying for a tool that saves them effort, most people, right, if they can afford it, slam dunk. They don't want to spend, 40 hours messing with competition analysis. They'd rather just have a tool like spit out the data for them, right? So the point is, if you can help someone by saving them time, saving them effort, or saving them money, like occasionally you have the opportunity to tell them, hey, you could use this method, which is, kind of expensive, or you can use this like kind of expensive and has hidden costs, or you could use this other tool over here that does it for you much easier. And by the way, it's cheaper too. They will probably opt for the cheaper option. Now, there are some queries out there that may not be super profitable, but let me give a quick example. Let's say it's a DIY. I can't think of a great example. Let's say it's a DIY, that's a do-it-yourself, like a podcast booth, right? So I'm not very original. I just know that I'm standing in my closet with like all my clothes around me because the audio is pretty good in here. So if you had an informational post on a DIY podcasting studio, that's super interesting, right? Like DIY sometimes indicates that a person doesn't want to buy anything and they are trying to do it for free. However, if someone is trying to put together a small podcasting studio with acoustic treatments and stuff like that, instead of having all these flannel shirts towering over him, then it could be something where they would invest in certain pieces of equipment. And in that case, maybe there are a couple substitutes. Like I can go to the hardware store and buy, some sort of like PVC situation and build like a little booth or something. Or maybe I don't want to go through all that trouble and basically can buy off the shelf thing from Amazon that's pretty close. And maybe I got to do a couple DIY things myself. But that's a perfect example where maybe I can save a little bit of money by buying parts locally and repurposing things like PVC and shower curtains. I think I'm coming up with an idea for a little booth for myself. But the point is, if you can save someone time and effort and like recommend the right tool for the job for them, it's perfectly fine. And Phil also asks like, hey, is it going to be bad for SEO if I put affiliate links in my informational content? Generally, the answer is no. If you put a reasonable number of affiliate links in your post, it's probably going to be fine. I haven't found any specific issues, though I never tried to test it explicitly, but I'm pretty light-handed with affiliate links in a general sense. So for an informational post, maybe I would just put 2 or 3 affiliate links per 1,000 words. So where it's relevant, where it can be helpful for a person. And again, if you know the problem that a person is trying to solve, you can make some pretty good recommendations. And sometimes an informational post, like on the surface, seems informational, but maybe it is pretty related to products. And I could see, again, thinking about the DIY podcasting studio or DIY booth or whatever, like people are buying stuff if they're trying to launch a podcast. It's not like a free thing that you're doing. Like you're buying hosting, you're probably going to have a website. You at least need a little bit of equipment. And as someone is getting into podcasting, for example, they realize that their audio isn't that good and they want to upgrade their microphone and their equipment so it sounds a little bit better. So the point is, you can put affiliate links. I would be, as some guidelines, I would be fairly light-handed and not put too many affiliate links. As long as you don't put too many, you should be okay from an SEO standpoint. Further, it's kind of your duty as a content creator, as someone who is putting out helpful information on a topic, on a how-to topic. If you know a way that you can save someone time, money, or effort, or speed it up, or whatever, then it's kind of your job to let them know about it. Even if you're recommending some affiliate products, of course, from an FTC, Federal Trade Commission standpoint, you do need to disclose those links. Just like earlier when I mentioned KW Finder, I mentioned it right there that I am an affiliate, right? So you got to make sure that you're making that clear from an FTC standpoint. But other than that, you should be good to go. So thanks again, Phil and Michael, for sending in your questions. And for other folks, if you are not on the Niche Site Project email list, highly recommend you check it out. Just go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email, and I will send you a bunch of templates. And over the course of several weeks, I send you emails, autoresponder emails that point you towards interesting content. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for listening to The Doug Show. I really do appreciate it. I mean, I'm just sitting here on my computer recording stuff, and you're listening to it, and I think that's awesome. If you enjoy the show and you know someone who maybe would be interested in it, please let them know. I think it would be fantastic if you help spread the word. If you are not signed up for the Niche Site Project email list, well, you're in luck. All you have to do is go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email address, and I'll send you a bunch of cool stuff about affiliate marketing, productivity, including all my templates. If you happen to not be subscribed to this podcast, please do subscribe, and don't forget, I welcome your questions. So you could send your emails to feedback@doug.show. I got that really cool domain, doug.show. That's it. So feedback@doug.show. Or I'm going to leave my voicemail number in the show notes. So all you have to do is give me a buzz, leave a voicemail, and then I'll potentially put you on the air. So looking forward to it, and we'll catch you next time.